Okay, I hope everybody can hear me today. I'm sitting here outside. It's a little chilly on the front porch. I hope you can all tune in here. I'm going to try and share this out maybe if I can get it going somewhere, but if not, I'm just going to get started. So today we're reading again from Madame Guyon's book, Union with God. And this book has really been a experience that I've been going through in my life, exactly like what's in this book, what this book talks about is exactly what I've been going through for the past few weeks, I guess. And so I came across this book from a few other friends, and I wanted to share the chapters from it. So this is chapter 4 of Madame Guyon's book of Union with God. Let me just get myself situated here. All right. Whoa. A little chilly outside. I hope you guys are all having just a wonderful, beautiful day. Thank you for tuning in and watching. And so we're going to get started on chapter 4 by Madame Guyon, Union with God. Bless you all. Thank you all for tuning in. Your self-life has now been attacked on all sides by so many enemies. Finally, you have nothing you can do except faint into the arms of love. You have no other place to which you can retreat. You see, when death has come and when death has completed its work, the most terrible conditions that could ever exist can cause no further pain or trouble. How can you recognize death? Do not think that you will be able to identify the workings of death within the internal parts of your own being. Certainly do not accept to identify the fact that you have passed through the stages that have been discussed here. Death is recognized by that which is absent. It is the inability to feel pain or to have any care of any thought of self. Death is recognized by a permanent indifference, and by remaining in that state of indifference forever. And that without registering even the slightest protest. Life is evidenced by having a will that is for something or against something. When you have been touched by death, there are no such things. All things will be alike and the same to you. The person touched by death remains dead, no matter what is present before it. Death is an intensive state. Death is an insensitive state. Insensitive to everything that concerns itself. Let God reduce you to any extremity. You will know no distaste. At this point, the Lord have put all spiritual enemies under his footstool, as pertains to your life. Now he reigns supreme. He takes you and possesses you more fully, simply because you have completely deserted the self-nature. I must remind you, these things take place quite slowly and by degrees. Even after death, this principle remains true. All organisms, even after death, hold some warmth. This is dissipated very gradually. In fact, in every stage since your conversion and mine, there has been a gradual, continual work of cleansing and purifying the soul. Now that work begins to draw to a completion, the death of your self-nature does not happen once for all. That will come only in your physical death. You and I vibrate between life and death, being sometimes in one and sometimes in the other. Finally, death is conquered by life. This is the principle of the resurrection. There is an alternating between life and death until life has finally overcome death. I have said that this is a slow process, yet it has an element of suddenness about it too. A believer who is dead finds himself living, and he can never doubt he was dead and is now alive again. I must point out that this death and this resurrection are not yet well established in your life. I would say instead it is more like a tendency towards being alive rather than an established and settled experience. After your very first experience of grace, which was more or less an outward thing, you turned to the Lord within and began sinking continually towards your center. At the end of this pilgrimage, your soul, lost deep within your spirit, is caused to be enveloped in the arms of love. Every person who comes this far has the same experience, but each in a different way. The life that has enveloped the new soul arises from within and strongly manifests itself. I would liken this to a living germ, which has always existed but has gone unnoticed. Now life causes you to sense the reality of its presence. You realize that life has never been wholly absent, no matter how hidden its presence was. The dark night that you have gone through is beginning to disappear. The Spirit was there. The Lord was there all along. Yes, present even in the midst of death. Still, this death was no less death because life was present. The life was concealed in the depths of death. The life was concealed in the depths of death. A silkworm lies long dead in a cocoon, yet a germ of life is still contained within. Awaiting its resurrection, so also in the scope your new life buds, coming forth from out of the innermost center, and from there it begins to grow. Gradually, its life extends over your faculties and senses, impregnating each one of them with its own life and with its natural fruitfulness. Saturated with this new life, you now experience contentment beyond measure. In the strictest sense, it is not your own contentment, nor a contentment in the soul, for it is a contentment in God. Amen to that. I would say that this last statement is especially true for a believer who has advanced far into the state of resurrected life. I would like to point out that there are some believers who do not pass through this painful death. They only experience a loss of strength and a loss of life. This loss seems to annihilate the central self and causes the believer to die to everything. Here, as in the other case, death is recognized by the total permanent inability to feel pain or to have any likes or dislikes. Such stages are death only to the extent that the person is not experiencing any life. Such a state is not a total death. We sometimes refer to death as departure. We mean there is separation. This is the way I suppose to use the term death. Death is a separation, a taking leave of the self-nature and order that you may pass into God. This state is characterized by a total and entire loss of your will, so that you may exist in God alone. When I speak of your will, I would like to include even the very best of that which is the will of man. Your will is still very much a part of your self-nature, however good and however honorable. These two must be destroyed, that the will of God alone may remain. Everything born of the will of the flesh, everything that comes out of even your good will needs to be brought into complete death. Amen. When this happens, nothing but the will of God will be left. When your old will has been completely extinguished, then God's will begins to take its place. Gradually, the Lord's will can change your human will into faith itself. Yeah, amen to that one, right? Bless all of you. It's a beautiful chapter. Love chapter 4. Does this mean that all of your suffering will be past? The self-nature will have expired and entered into an experience with death. There will be no obstacle to your being in perfect union with God. Yet, for all of this, the inner man has still not passed into God. That fact is the cause of extreme suffering. So you see, suffering remains. I realize that you will object to the above statement. If the self-nature is dead, then how can it suffer? Your self-nature becomes experientially dead as soon as you are completely separated from it. But this death is not really complete until the inner man has passed into God. Until this is completed, there is a great deal of suffering. I would like to point out, though, that the suffering I'm now speaking of is quite general and very indistinct. What you have here in the way of suffering is a painful awareness on your part that you are not yet established in your proper place with God. What part does death play in the early stages of your Christian life? There is, first of all, a level of suffering which is caused by your hating and fearing the things that are bringing you to death. As the element of your human will begins to die, you will have less and less reaction to suffering and to the working of death in your life. It seems that we harden under the blows until, at last, there is a total end of all the natural elements of life. God pursues your natural life into all its hidden places. Your natural life, as corrupt as it is, will make any excuse and even the holiest things as a refuge and a hiding place. But God, in his mercy, comes to those places, seeking out your human will. A few people, having been pursued and followed into these last retreats, will finally abandon their hiding places. Alas, how few this is the number. How few is this number? For none of us can really know or even imagine how strongly we cling to objects until they are taken away from us. The believer who thinks he is attached to nothing is actually bound by 1,000 things unknown to himself. Yeah, true. I mentioned that even after total death of will, there is still some suffering. The soul is entirely rid of itself, but not yet received into God. Something still exists. I do not know exactly what it is, a form, a human remnant that is still to vanish. But at last it does. All does. I would say it is a tarnishing that is destroyed by a general indistinct suffering, an uneasiness which arises from being turned out of self, without yet having been received into the great original. The believer loses all possession of self, which is absolutely necessary if he is to be united with God. but only gradually does he know the new life of resurrection. When I speak of the life of resurrection, I can refer to that purely divine life, which dwells within each of us, coming into full possession of the believer. When the very nature of will and yourself have died, when in the experience of death you fall into the embrace of God, when your inward parts are truly united to the Lord, with nothing between, then will you be united with the Lord. Oddly, you yourself will not recognize this consequently. You cannot enjoy the fruits of this union, not until God brings this new life into being and you begin to realize that the Lord has become your vitalizing source. A young bride who has fainted into the embrace of her husband is closely united with him, but she does not enjoy the blessedness of her union with him because she is unconscious. Nonetheless, her husband holds her in his arms while she is in a state of fainting that has come from excess love. He recalls to her to life again tenderly by his caress. As she comes to consciousness, she knows that she possesses him, whom her soul loves, and that she is possessed by him. So too it is with the believer. The end of chapter 4. So while I was reading, I thought I would go to, there is also 22 poems in here, and they're beautiful. So I thought I would just pick maybe one or two. And if anyone puts a number in the chat, drops their name, it will be specifically for them. But I think April's watching and a couple others, but I don't know. But I'm just going to go randomly pick whatever one I think that should be read today of one of the poems by Madame Guyon. So here's the one that I've just flipped to. It's on page 70. My country, Lord, art thou alone. O thou by long experience tried, near whom no grief can long abide. My Lord, how full of sweet content I pass my years of banishment. All scenes alike engaging prove to souls impressed with sacred love. Where they dwell in thee, in heaven, in earth, or on the sea. To me remains nor place nor time. My country is in every clime. I can be calm and free from care on any shore, since God is there. While place we seek or place we shun, the soul finds happiness in none. But with a God to guide our way, 'tis equal joy to go or stay. Could I be cast where thou art not, that were indeed a dreadful lot? But regions none remote I call, securing of finding God in all. My country, Lord, art thou alone. No other can I claim or own. The point where all my wishes meet, my law, my love, life's only sweet. I hold by nothing here below, appoint my journey, and I go. Though pierced by scorn, oppressed by pride, I feel the good, feel not beside. No frowns of men can hurtful prove to souls on fire with heavenly love. Though men and devils both condemn, no gloomy days arise for them. And then to his embrace repair, my soul, thou art no stranger there. Their love divine shall be the guard, and peace and safety thy reward. Beautiful, fitting. Well, thank you all for joining. Share this out. Please like, subscribe. And soon we're going to be doing, the next book I'm going to be doing is this book called Intimacy with Jesus. This is going to go like way deeper into all this. So I really wanted to share this book with you guys too. So I'll be putting the link in the comments of those upcoming videos. This will probably be getting done in a few more days because we only have chapters 5 and 7 left of this book. So these are two great books by Madame Guyon. I just wanted to give a big shout out. These are absolutely wonderful, and there's many in the series. So if you guys, I'll put it's in the comments, the links. You can watch chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4 already. Was 4, 1, 2, and 3 are available on my YouTube channel or on Facebook, and I'm spreading them out everywhere. Today we didn't podcast, but I just wanted to be live here just with you guys. So next week we'll be starting up this book, or later this week, possibly. Maybe Friday. I'll let you guys know as soon as we get this one complete. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Sending all my love. Namaste. Blessed be you all. Peace be with you. Bye, guys.